Well, this was our camping site last night. Gavin stayed right over there and I'm standing on mine. We got some friends here that stayed with us last night and we're heading up the trail today. We're gonna try to do about 11 miles or so. There's a shelter coming up and we'll see how it goes. Actually, we'll pass one shelter in about 2.5 miles and then we're gonna go on to the next one, but we'll probably stop and eat at the first one if we need something. But beautiful area that we're staying in today. Down there's the valley and water sources behind me, but there's water down there too. So, starting out on a beautiful day and we're hoping for good weather. Well, we're having us a good hike this morning and moving on up the trail. We're gonna try to do about 11 today to, I think it's called Little Laurel Shelter. And I haven't even checked the map to see if it's up or down or sideways or what. I think it's a little bit of up and then some down, but we don't know. We'll figure it out. These little fledgling rhododendrons, if that's what you call them, they're pretty. And I'm just kind of waiting up on Gavin for just a minute. I got out ahead of him because we stopped to talk. But anyway, we're getting ready to head up the trail. We'll see you shortly. Well, we've come across our second grave marker on the trip. This is where Rex Pulford lays, I guess. Well, it says in memory, so I don't know whether in memory means this is where his resting place is or if this is just a stone in his memory. But I'll have to do some looking up on him and find out what we can about him some way up the road a little bit. So anyway, we're gonna head on up the trail, but this is something that you don't see very often, so I thought I'd pop in and visit or video it for you. It's about 11:15 and we're still getting started good. We stayed at a nice little campsite last night. 2 guys from Maine and another young fellow that just started hiking yesterday. And he's learning. He's got a lot to learn. We taught him how to do a bear hang last night and helped him to work on his tent because he'd never set his tent. And turns out the fly that he had with his tent was not really the right fly. So we had to rig up something. But he asked if we minded if he hiked along with us some, and I said, well, we're going to hike our pace, but I'll tell you where we're going to stop and you can meet us there and we'll do the best we can to help you get situated and learn some things about this backpacking mess. I don't think that we're either one, Gavin and I are experts, but we have been at this for about 6 weeks now, so I think we know a little bit more than a lot of people know. So anyway, we're going to wander on down through. We're looking for the next shelter to stop and have some lunch, and should have a water source there if we need to refill. And then we're going to go on to the shelter beyond that. Our total day's 11.5 miles or something like that. Relative to what we did last week, it's not that long, but we're still trying to train our bodies to go further. And I think the key to that is getting up earlier. And I don't know what the answer to that one is because we both overslept again today. But it's all right. I got up about 8:15 or 8:30. Hit the snooze button a few times. I set the alarm for 8. And I was kind of in and out of consciousness. I heard some of the other guys moving around in the campsite about 7 or 7:30. And it just took me a little while to get going this morning. And Gavin's the same way. And I think that's something that we'll get better at as it gets warmer. It's kind of awfully hard to get out of a really nice warm tent and sleeping bag when you're dealing with 25, 30 degree temperatures. You'd really rather just stay there and be warm, and I can respect that. But anyway, moving on up the trail, we've got a few views to the side here of some mountains and ridge line. This is the trail back up the way that I just came down. Gavin should be behind me not too far. But yep, just another fun day in the woods. We've been on trail for a little over an hour now, and I paused just a little bit at the top of a small climb to just going to take my headphones out and just kind of do some listening. And there's a whole lot of birds out here. I may have to ditch the headphones for nature for a little while. But this is again the area that we're going through, and again, like I said yesterday, there's not a whole lot new here. Lots of valleys, lots of mountains, lots of trees with no leaves, but man, it sure is beautiful. It's good to be out here. We're having a good day. I think we're going to have weather in the 70-degree range, and we have another new development today, which is gnats swarming around my face. I'm not in love with that, but I guess it just kind of comes with the trail. Oh, this is pretty. We're just leaving the first shelter of the day. It was about 3 miles in for us. And wow, that's absolutely gorgeous out there. I didn't get a picture of the shelter, and I'm sorry about that. But it was very typical of all these shelters that we've seen, so it wasn't a whole lot different. Odd thing about it, there was a backpack there with no owner. It was covered up in a blue tarp, and don't know what's going on with that. We had heard some hikers talking, and I haven't looked at it myself, but in our online app, there's folks that had commented that there had been a homeless person living at this shelter, so maybe that belonged to him. We resisted the urge to look through it. It wasn't our stuff, so anyway, I guess whoever's the owner of that will come back to it, or perhaps the ridge runners will pick it up and get it off the mountain or something. But that was a little bit an odd thing. I think the terrain for us the rest of the day is going to be just little ups and downs, kind of ridge walking. We've got about 8.6 to our shelter where we're staying tonight, and we'll see how things go. I don't know whether we got people ahead of us. There's one couple of folks that are ahead of us, 2 girls that left the shelter here just as we were coming in. We saw them walk past this morning, so I don't know how far they're going. And then another couple came up just as we were getting ready to leave ourselves. They're probably shooting for this shelter. And the guys that we stayed with last night, they're probably going to shoot for tenting somewhere near the shelter, but I don't know that they're shelter inhabitants. We'll see what happens, but hopefully it won't be too terribly busy. And I'm hoping that we're leaving at a time that we can get there and Gavin can secure his spot indoors if he wants it. And hope that they'll have some nice tent sites, which is what I would prefer, unless it's going to be almost a completely empty shelter. I just soon have my tent. So we'll see how things go. This is the view kind of going ahead, and I'm guessing that our trail follows that little ridge right down through there, but I don't know that. There's some pretty views off to the right here of the trail, and we're going to wander on and see where the trail takes us. All right, this is a new flower. There's a couple of them right there that I haven't seen before. They look daisy-like, but they're different from daisies. I don't think they have as many petals, but they've been popping up. There's another one just there. They've been popping up the last little bit. So I've got a couple of things here that I need to send in to iNaturalist when I get stopped and get a good signal. These things are just dotting the trail. I just passed another one. I guess springtime is coming in, and it just amazes me that we've not had any worse weather, and I hope I'm not jinxing myself by saying that. But anyway, we've been terrifically blessed with mild weather. The rain has not been horrible. We've actually been in pretty good shape for rain weather for the last little while. Of course, we did stay an extra day in Standing Bear to avoid some rain and snow, so that was probably a good move on our part. But anyway, wandering on down the trail, and this is one of those kinds of trails that's a pretty steep downhill. That's a real test on the knees, and paying attention to make sure you don't step on a loose rock or a root or something and go barreling down the hill a little faster than you had intended. So as you walk through, you never really quite know what you're going to see just around the corner. That's a pretty little area right down there, not quite a bald, but definitely some daylight leaking in down there, and a pretty range up there in front of us. And we can see forever out that way, except for that tree limb that's right in the video. Well, yeah, that's not a lot better, but boy, the view goes and goes and goes out that way. And not surprising, we have mountains all around us. Well, this is the trail right now, and we are right over a valley. Boy, that thing drops off 150 feet or so, pretty steeply. But it looks like we're probably going to be, as we normally do on these things, we'll go up and we'll probably veer around to the left, and I bet you the trail is probably right along in there in the center. In fact, I think I can see it going down up the hill there. So we got a little bit of an up, but it's gradual, and there's not much obstructing the trail, so those are the ups that we don't mind so much. we're just having a nice, pleasant walk in the woods. The weather is awesome again today. I think we were expecting 70 degrees or better. I've got a little thermometer on my pack, but I'm not real sure that it works. But I'll have to check that out and sort of see sometime when we can compare it to something else and see if it works. Because if it doesn't, I need to chunk it, get rid of the weight, even though it's probably only a couple of ounces. Every little bit helps. Yep, we're gonna gradually go up the hill right here. Not so gradual right here, but once we get going, just one step in front of the other. Well, I just happened upon a mountain stream. How about that? This one's kind of neat because you can see where the hikers have been. Right down in here, they've positioned that rhododendron leaf so that there's a really good trickle of water over that. And that's where you get down there and you can fill up your water bottle. And that's an incredible flow right there. These rocks right beside are really pretty the way that they're kind of stair-stepped there. But the thing that caught my eye, that made me stop and want to take a picture, is the water's leaving right up here. And some of it is running down the underside of this log and just kind of dripping off the log right there. It's the first time I've seen that. But you can sort of see this gorge right here where it's cut through. And absolutely gorgeous and a good place to get water, but I've got plenty, so I'm going to wander on up the trail here. But this thing comes from way back up in there somewhere. So, anyway, the obligatory mountain stream of the day, and we're going to continue on up the trail. Still wandering up the trail with the sun at my back, of course. Sorry. Just crossed a highway. About any time you cross a highway, it means you have to walk down to it and then up out of it. That's what we did. But the trail has settled down a little bit more since then, and we're wandering on. We're just under 5 miles from our shelter tonight, and it's been a great day of hiking. The weather's been cooperative, and the trail has been nice. You can see right now we got tons of sunshine. I'm trying to find a place where I can get the phone and it doesn't blind you. But anyway, wanted to just check in with you and let you know we're still moving along. Great weather today, good hiking, good speed, I think. We're hoping to be at our campsite between 5:30 and 6 if we can keep our pace up, so we'll see what happens. Well, I'm pausing right now just to show you this plant, and I don't know what it is. But there's a pretty decent sized patch of it right here by the trail. It's very green. There's an American holly bush growing out of the middle of it. And but I just thought it would be worth showing you. It reminds me of something that my mom used to have growing called sedum. But it's taller than that, and the sedum was variegated. And this is certainly very green. So I'm not sure what that is. I took a picture of it, so we'll add that. Now there's some ferns. Now, I remember when I was a kid, I was told that was called a Christmas tree fern because of the way the leaf at the end of it, down towards the plant, sticks out like the toe of a stocking. Now, whether that's the truth or not, I don't know. I guess I'll take a picture of this one too and see what it is when I get to a good Wi-Fi source. I'll send that up on iNaturalist. We just passed a gap. Of course, that means that the trail goes up. So I thought I would take just a minute and sort of show you what the trail going up looks like. I'm not sure I'm going to last a minute. It may be 20 seconds. I don't know. But on these uphills, I really heel toe it. This one's steeper than most. We've got a few rocks and roots to step over, not much. But it's steep enough that I can't just wind out my steps. So I really kind of heel toe it, really use my trekking poles, in this case trekking pole because I'm holding the phone with the other hand, and just trying to push off and go up at a consistent speed even though it's a slow speed. We'll see what happens up here. Looks like we're going to turn and maybe get a little bit of a break. I paused on the trail just a little bit to look around and adjust my music, and I noticed that we've got a view, so I'm going to stand here and pause for just a minute and let you take that in as well. It's a gorgeous day with just a few clouds up in the sky, but it's been sunny most all the day, and we've had a pretty good day of walking. We've had some uphills and we've had some downhills and we've had some flats. It's been pretty much a Duke's mixture, but nothing has been completely taxing for very long. We had a couple of uphills that were kind of tough, but they didn't take us long, so we're learning to deal with those and move along from them. The whole thing has been a great learning experience, and we're blessed to have had it. Right now we're just kind of meandering up the side of a mountain at a pretty good, easy grade. I love these kinds of uphills if we gotta have uphills, and sometimes the uphills are refreshing because the downhills are taxing on the knees, and something like this here, I can just kind of wander along, take my time, not even get winded much. So we take these when we can get them. I guess we take whatever we got when we can get it, but I don't mind walking on this so much. It's oh, there's some butterflies. Did I get him? Maybe. Oh, there he is. There he is. I told you earlier today I have several times walked across several butterflies that will just kind of pop up in flight. And I don't have my camera out, but those two I got. So hopefully that was a treat for you as well as it was for me. Well, this is our view as we're continuing to climb a bit, but it's not been too hard. And there's our trail going up on around to the left there. I think we're about to be to the top of this one, I hope. And I think we've got a downhill into the campsite. We'll see, in our shelter rather. We're going to little Laurel shelter today. And we're within a couple of miles of it, I think. Shouldn't be too terribly long. I was hoping to get there between 5 and 6, maybe even 5 and 5:30, but I wasn't counting on quite this much of an uphill here at the end of the day, so that slows us down a good bit to maybe about 1 mile an hour. On the flats and the downs, we can do about 2. So I don't know, maybe we're about to level off here. There's not much more up there that we can go up. I see daylight through the trees up there. Of course, every time I say that, there's something around the corner that we don't see from here. So we'll see what happens and we'll take what we get. Well, we're about 2 miles away from our shelter, maybe not quite. And we're still enjoying wonderful weather. It's not too hot, not too cold. It's just perfect. It's about 70, maybe a little warmer. I certainly have sweated some today. Yesterday and today have been the first days that I've really noticed that I've been sweating pretty good, but that's to be expected out here. I just had a peek at the map, and our shelter is eventually going to be uphill, and I'm betting that's right in front of me. I bet that's what we're going to be climbing on to get up there, but it's not going to be too far. It's less than 2 miles, so I know we can make it. We'll check in with you a little further along the trail. You know, this is the part of the day we enjoy. We have just stopped climbing because the shelter's right in front of us. I actually saw the food bag hanging before I saw the shelter, but this will be our humble abode for the evening. Looks like there's a tent spot or two, for which I'm grateful, although it looks like it's also right under the bear hang. So I'll search around for a better one, but we have arrived and show you a little bit more later.